can you update me as to this matter, please?
Yes, sir. The defendant posted $1,400 bond at the Otsego County Jail on December 1st. We would need to release the bond to the docket. And then also I wanted to note that we have done a new child support recommendation. Miss Mertz obligation is $136 a month with a balance of $7,429.34, with the last payment being received in March of 2025 in the amount of $150.
All right. So it's 136 a month, but no payments have been received since March of
Correct.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Mertz, what's going on?
I'd first like to apologize for falling behind on my support and for also missing my court date last year, which issued the warrant. I was actually giving birth with my latest daughter at the time, and I was unable to make the court appearance. I've given birth.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, by the way. So go ahead.
Thank you. Over the last 2-3 years, I did welcome 2 beautiful children into the world, and I've found that daycare costs is just very expensive and not in my budget. I'm currently a full-time mom to the 2 youngest babies that I just had, and also my 13-year-old daughter, which is involved in this case. It's never been my intention to avoid my responsibilities. My financial situations have just made it very difficult. But I'm doing my best to care for my kids. I plan to return to work when my budget fits childcare cost a little bit more comfortably. I'm just asking for the court for understanding and a chance to get back on track with the support obligation.
Ms. Spillane, were any daycare costs used in the child support recommendation in order in this case?
No, but we did impute her income at minimum wage at 30 hours.
All right. Ma'am, if you have current and ongoing daycare or childcare costs, those can be taken into account in your child support requirements. So if you want to submit those to the friend of the court and see if there's a certain threshold you have to meet before there can be a change in your court order. But if you wanted to submit those costs to the friend of the court to see if it would reach that threshold, there may be a reason to update that recommendation in that court order.
Okay.
So I can offer you that.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't believe the 2 youngest are on this specific
No.
docket, so I don't know as though we would be able to factor in those costs for the babies.
Well, they would be on whatever other child support requirements there are. So I suppose that is true if it's just the oldest child on this one.
Yeah, it's just the oldest child on this
you-
case that I have full time. And she doesn't have any daycare costs. It would just, I have 2 other children with someone else, not with the.
Are the 2 youngest kids subject to court orders on child support?
No.
All right. All right. Well, before I get too far ahead of myself, let me back up to the bond issue. Ms. Mertz, do you have any objection to the bond that you posted being applied to the arrears on the child support?
No, I don't.
All right, we will then do that. We'll forfeit that bond and apply it to the child support. Are you currently working right now, Ms. Mertz?
No, I'm a full-time mother. I take care of the 2 youngest and my 13-year-old daughter full-time. So no, I do not currently have an employment.
How old are your youngest?
My youngest just turned 1 yesterday, and then the second youngest, she's 2, and then I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Is it the 15-year-old that's with Mr. Mertz?
Yeah, he's with Mr. Mertz, full time.
All right. Well, here's the deal. I understand and can sympathize with the desire to stay home with your kids. But the 15-year-old is not somebody that you can just say, oh, well, close enough. That's your child too. And he's deserving of the money to properly raise and care for him as well.
I fully
Uh,
agreed.
so your child support amount is relatively small, $136 a month. I can guarantee you that it costs more than $136 a month to raise a child. I think you know that based on the other ones that you have in your household. So that amount needs to be paid. And typically what I require from most people is if you're not going to making your payments on time and in the full amount, you have to be actively searching for employment. That means making applications to try to get employment. And I recognize that that's difficult as when you got young babies at home, but that's the reality of your circumstances. You've got a wide age range in your kids, and a 15-year-old is probably eating Mr. Mertz out of house and home.
I know he does
So
every time he's here.
So, and I appreciate that it appears that there's a good relationship with all of your kids. I'm glad to hear that. But the child support needs to be paid. So you're going to have to come up with a plan about how to do that, and whether that allows you to stay home some or most of the time or not. That's a debt that I just can't say, oh, well, pay it when you can. It's an ongoing obligation, and I'm going to have to take some action against you if it continues to grow.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'm going to give you a month to kind of work on how you're going to do that and what your plan is going to be for the future and where you're going to go and how you're going to get those funds. So we're going to be back here in 30 days or so. Ms. Spillane will set a new date. We'll get a notice out to everybody. And I want to have a plan in place from you as to how you're going to make your monthly payments.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So whether that means you need to go out and get a part-time job, or whether that means you need to get a full-time job, I don't know. That's up to you. But the payments are $136 a month.
Yes.
And so that's what needs to be paid every single month. Mr. Mertz is entitled to that. Your son is entitled to that. And that's what the court's order is. So I have to enforce that. And do you have any questions for me, Ms. Mertz?
Well, I don't exactly get support from him financially for the daughter that we share. And like you said, things are very expensive while raising children. She does have upcoming medical expenses. She has to get braces, which is quite expensive. That I also have to take into consideration with my budget. And she, there's just things like that, that I'm kind of marking down in the things that I have to plan for in my future as well.
So is the 15-year-old, is that Mason?
Yes.
And you have Serenity at your house?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Spillane, have those two things been taken into account in the child support order?
I believe so. Let me pull the file real quick and look at that.
I do have paperwork stating how much her braces will cost from her orthodontist. And I also have to figure out insurance for her so she can get that done.
So the
Well, I'm
paperwork
looking at, yeah, go ahead, Ms. Spillane.
the paperwork that I have here shows that Miss Mertz has the children 101 overnights pursuant to their parenting time order. If they're practicing something different, it may be helpful for them to file a motion to change the parenting time order, and then a new review could be done.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like that they are doing something different, that Mr. Mertz has one child and she has the other child, which probably would change what the child support requirements are. And then if there are what are called extraordinary medical expenses, such as braces, that's not the ordinary kind of medical expenses that you would have. There is a process in the child support formula for determining a percentage of who's responsible for which, depending on the income levels of the two parties, so that you can submit those things to the friend of the court if you can't work out an agreement with Mr. Mertz. So it sounds to me like if you guys have something different happening than Ms. Mertz having 101 overnights for the two children, and that sounds like you are doing something very different than that,
Yes.
then that needs to be resubmitted to the friend of the court for a recalculation and a new child support order going forward. And that may very well solve some of your troubles. It doesn't change anything for today, and the order continues until there's a new change made, and that's your responsibility to get that new information to the friend of the court. And you can make a request and say, hey, Serenity is with me full time.
I've talked to Miss Spillane about it, and she had said something about Mr. Mertz having disagreements on it. So she had just put in what was the original agreement, and that's why it shows the 101 days per year.
That's what she's supposed to do until you either have an agreement with Mr. Mertz, or you file a motion to say, Judge, I want you to make a finding. Actually, it would be the referee first, but I want you to make a finding that Serenity is with me and Mason is with him. And then the court can issue a new order that is what the current parenting time and child custody arrangement is. And then child support is based on that.
Okay.
So you got to follow through with the legal steps to do that. So if you can reach an agreement with Mr. Mertz about what you've done informally, then you can submit that to the friend of the court, and they'll change the child support or make a recommendation to change the child support accordingly. If you can't reach an agreement with Mr. Mertz, then you need to file a motion, and Ms. Spillane has the forms to do that for you to file the motion, and that'll go in front of the referee, and he'll decide what the custody and parenting time is or should be, and then child support can be changed based on that. Does that make sense?
I do, yes, and I do. She had emailed me the paperwork to fill that out, and it's been the holidays. I just have to get it turned into her, so I'll be doing that later on today.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule for next month a status conference, basically just another one, a short one of these hearings to kind of find out where we're at, to make sure that you're not just dragging your feet a little bit. Because right now the court order says that you owe $136 a month, and you need to pay that. If the circumstances have changed, great, file your paperwork and we'll see where we go from there. But I don't want this to kind of drop through the cracks. I want to make sure that we keep on top of this. So I'm going to schedule another hearing next month. Ms. Spillane will send out notices to that. And then in the meantime, you need to file your paperwork if you can't reach an agreement with Mr. Mertz.
Okay.
Any other questions that you have, Ms. Mertz?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Mertz, any comments or questions that you have?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Spillane, anything else that we need to do today?
No, sir.
All right, that's all for today then. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.